I just cannot understand how anyone would want to live like this. California continues to double and triple down on their completely insane list of counterproductive rules and regulations and restrictions and requirements and laws and mandates and fees and fines, none of which make any sense, but they're just going to tell you that it's all about health and safety, or maybe it's going to stop racism, or it's going to end climate change. It's all absolute nonsense. And they've been manipulating people like this for decades. It is not new. However, Rona has given this cabal of corruption Avengers carte blanche to do whatever it is that they want. And we have this article here from CBS Bay Area. Bringing home the bacon may be challenging amid new California laws. And that's a cute little headline for a fairly disturbing story, actually. Thanks to a reworked menu and long hours, Jeannie Kim managed to keep her San Francisco restaurant alive during the coronavirus pandemic. So they blame it on the virus, right? It has nothing to do with the heavy-handed government overreach, and she had to completely rework her menu, but whatever. And don't worry, there's going to be more coming down the pipe at this lady, because the private sector businesses are just no friend of any politician in California. It goes on. That makes it all the more frustrating that she fears her breakfast-focused diner could be ruined by new rules that can make one of her top menu items, bacon, hard to get in California. So naturally, they want to take one of the most beloved food items in the country and perhaps the planet, the world, bacon, and make it harder to get, because I guess they care more for the life and well-being of a pig than they do of a small business owner or just a California resident who wants to enjoy some bacon with his brunch mimosa or whatever it is that they do in California now. It does seem like there's a little bit of pushback, though. Some people are suing, and it hasn't quite been set in stone yet, but they're going to come at these people from every single angle to make sure that they are dependent on the government in some way, shape, or form. $15 minimum wage. California becomes the first state to require a $15 an hour minimum wage for businesses with more than 25 employees. So again, we see the arbitrary numbers. They pull it completely out of thin air, just like the 100-person vaccine mandate. It doesn't make any sense, but they say it because it seems like they thought about it if they just come up with an arbitrary number. And it's also strange how they continue to ignore the fact that there is a chain reaction to all of these things, right? Well, let's just print more money. I'm sure nothing could go wrong. And you're just going to have to pay your employees way more money. I'm sure that's not going to change anything, right? Before you know it, you're charging twice the price for half the food on every single one of your menu items, but I'll continue. Housing and homelessness, which is the flagship problem in California. Governor Gavin Newsom promised to double down on addressing California's affordable housing and related homelessness problem after he handily defeated a recall election in September. So let's remember also that this is from CBS Bay Area, a left-wing fake news media publication that's going to frame all of these things as though they're just great, and every single Californian is undoubtedly going to benefit from this. And of course, Gavin Newsom defeated that smelly old racist black Republican Larry Elder. I mean, there's no way that a Republican stands a chance in this single party rule state. And he did say he was going to throw $12 billion at the homelessness problem or something insane like that. And we're never going to find out where that money actually ends up. I mean, I have a couple ideas, but that's a different story. Protecting employees. And that's just vague enough to mean anything. California becomes the first state to bar warehouse retailers like Amazon from firing workers for missing quotas that interfere with bathroom and rest breaks. Okay, so they want to villainize Amazon at this point, even though Amazon, I suppose, was one of the main beneficiaries of the profits made during this insane coronavirus lockdown. But now they want to really put them on notice that they can't violate these brand new rules that California's put in place to apparently save the Californians. Recycling and waste. California is expanding on its existing law that allows restaurants to distribute single-use straws only upon request. So we all know about the plastic straw thing, and it's a good thing that we got rid of those plastic straws, so now we can fill up the ocean with these blue surgical masks. Now takeout places can give consumers single-use condiment packages like ketchup and mustard and utensils like knives, forks, and spoons only if asked. Okay, well, that's just groundbreaking, right? We're really going to save the world with this. Who in their right mind is still buying into any of this stuff? But it gets worse. Gender neutral store displays. California becomes the first state to require large department stores, those with at least 500 employees, again with the arbitrary numbers, to display products like toys and toothbrushes in gender neutral ways. That way, we can confuse all of these kids, make them dependent on us, and then when they turn 8 or 10 years old, they can just decide which gender they want to be. I mean, I have decided that I am a 7-foot NBA star, but some reason that doesn't really work out. And you also can't be transracial, but still you can pick your gender when you hit puberty if they don't put you on some sort of puberty blockers. But again, I'm getting off the point and I will continue because it still gets worse. Restricting police. Several laws that fizzled in 2020 despite national unrest over the murder of George Floyd. Again, with the framing, you can call it unrest, but there were actual riots, and we can talk about murder. That's all up for debate. They include measures limiting police use of rubber bullets against protesters. So again, protesters or rioters, right? I mean, there's a thin line between the two, but they will never use the term riot. And they also won't use the term looting because that is apparently racist now. But they don't like lethal force, which I think we can all get on board, right? I don't think cops should be shooting people. We can agree. And in most cases, but they also don't want to use non-lethal force in these rubber bullets. So basically, they're just making sure that criminals have the upper hand in any given situation, but still, it gets worse. Easing criminal penalties. So while they are shunning police for using lethal force, non-lethal force, they are also easing criminal penalties. California is taking additional steps to ease criminal penalties, building on a decade of efforts to reduce mass incarceration. Now, that is a classic left-wing buzzword, mass incarceration. It basically just means that it's a Soros-sponsored DA who is destabilizing the country for some sort of nefarious reason. And it is also limiting prison terms for those associated with street gangs. So the most notorious people who are known to commit crimes, literal gangsters, they won't face as much punishment because I guess the law-abiding citizen is far more dangerous to the power structure of California. And while that's all happening, they're also going to announce a mandatory water restriction. So they want to tell you when and where and what papers you have to produce just to go eat breakfast that will not include bacon, apparently. But they're also going to tell you when you can wash your car, or water your lawn, or wash down the sidewalks. Okay, look. The mandate includes prohibitions on, ONN, I guess that's a typo there, washing cars without a shutoff nozzle, hosing down sidewalks, or watering grass within 48 hours of rainfall. Restrictions will apply to all water users, including individuals, businesses, and public agencies. So no matter what happens, you're going to have to make sure that Gavin Newsom or Eric Garcetti or London Breed is okay with how much water you're using. And on top of that, they are going to ban your gas-powered leaf blower. So you can't water your lawn, you can't blow the leaves off your lawn, you can't eat bacon at brunch. And I know I'm being a little bit hyperbolic here, but we can all see where this is going. You now have to have a booster shot just to go watch a Warriors basketball game. Again, that's a different story. So the list of mandates in this nanny state never seem to end, but I think some people are getting hip to it, and the California exodus is real, they say. California has morphed from a land of limitless opportunity to a highly regulated land of limits and control. No wonder so many people are leaving, and it goes on. California exodus intensifies as retirees, teachers, musicians seek cheaper, less crowded pastures. And it goes on. California exodus. Studies show state among top 5 showing largest outbound migration. But it continues. Studies show California exodus with more people leaving the state despite the pandemic. And I think what they mean to say is leaving the state because of the overbearing government regulations imposed by way of fear through the pandemic or something like that. And even the Atlantic can acknowledge why Texans don't want more Californians. Migrants from the Golden State could change the character of their home, of their new homes. Okay, so that all makes sense. I think we can all agree that the political refugees fleeing these awful states shouldn't bring their terrible politics with them, but who knows how that's going to pan out. And while all of that is happening, basically everybody can acknowledge that people are fleeing these awful states ruled by these terrible dictators. One publication is just saying it's not real. The much discussed California exodus isn't real, study finds. Claims that fed up residents are leaving en masse have been widespread, but they're a myth, researchers say. And that's from The Guardian. So they're just going to call everybody else fake news and say, yeah, it's not really happening. Everybody actually loves California.